everybody, this is Mandy. Today I wanted to talk about pencils and erasers when we're talking about sketching. And most of you are familiar with the HB or number 2 pencil, the one that you grew up with using. Well, there's a scale, and the number 2 pencil falls generally in the middle. While there's no specific industry standard for the darkness of the mark that's made with a pencil, there is a general sort of consensus among the manufacturers. It varies based on the manufacturer, but if we start from the middle with our HB or number 2, they're generally regarded as the same thing. It falls in the middle, and it's kind of the best for your, pencil use, average pencil use. But if we move to B, and B stands for the softness of the graphite. They used to be called lead pencils, but they're no longer used with lead for obvious reasons. We use graphite. So the graphite scale the graphite's mixed with clay, which makes it softer. It also makes it darker. So the higher the number on the B scale, the softer and darker the mark that's going to be made. So softer on this side as we move from HB. We get softer. And when I made these marks, I'm using the same amount of pressure. If you've seen my other videos, using pressure when you're shading is really important. So there's a big differential, if you'll notice, between 6B and a 4H or a 6H, which I don't have. The mark, it doesn't matter how much pressure, for example, I use using a 4H pencil, it's not going to ever get this dark. So the 4H pencil and H stands for the hardness of the graphite. So we move in the scale, so the higher the number on the H scale, the harder the lead. Oops, this way. I'm trying to write with the left hand. I've got all these pencils in my way. So I hope that makes sense. You can get away with most people I do a lot of sketching. If you'll notice, my 2B is kind of my go-to. It's got just the right amount of softness, and I can sharpen it to a fine enough point that I use it the most often. You can see it's worn down the most. And also my HB pencil. They're really good pencils. Beyond the scale, we move into charcoal territory. Charcoal is very soft. It's a lot softer than graphite, and you can see it gets very, very dark, and it also has a hardness scale. So I have my little sphere here, my little cue ball, and I've got my erasers. So I'm going to start off with my vinyl eraser. This one's really dirty. And I'm going to I'm going to take away some of the graphite because I've got my shadow. My shadow is here, and that means that the light is casting in this direction. So we want to have a little highlight here, and then the shadow is cast behind the sphere. So I'm going to use my vinyl eraser, and you can see that that's a pretty sharp edged highlight. This is where my kneaded eraser comes in handy. I can kind of blur as I pick up around the edges. And soften up that highlight and then come back, because as I blurred, I also sort of added a little more graphite, and I just want the center of the highlight to be very, very white. And then I can also use this for a sharper edged erase. Depending on what kind of shadow you want. It could be a soft shadow or a hard shadow. This one I decided just for showing, want to be more of a hard edge shadow. And there you have it. Now there's also another type of eraser, and it's an electric eraser. It's sort of a long cylindrical pen-like shape, kind of like this blending tool, and you can get a lot, you can erase a lot of small detailed areas, a lot like the kneaded eraser, but with, it's not as soft. It's, you know, it's rigid like this. It's basically a combination of these two things. And this makes me really think I need to get one of those, because it sounds like it's pretty good. I've seen them used. They look like they're worth trying. So I'll probably get one and try that out. But hopefully you learned a little something about, you know, the different hardness factors of all of our pencils here, and the different types of erasers when you go to the art store. And I hope that you enjoyed my video. Thank you so much for watching.